See how great this is. But thanks for having me. My name is Ron, as was already said. I'm from Simply Measured. We're a social analytics company here in Seattle for marketers. It's a weird thing to think of, is that we really serve one function. And it's weird that I'm showing LinkedIn because I hate their API. Sorry. But that's it. So really, enough about me. I'm going to talk a little bit about social analytics specifically and how that can be used in B2B to help you at really all stages of the process. I'm going to give a lot of experience from what we do. We are a SaaS company, and so we use our social to sell our business. And so a lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about is really from us. Just as background, I have been a social marketer for a long time, so if I go deep and say something that you're like, what the hell are you talking about, you weirdo, just stop me, and I'll clarify that and say it in real person speak for you. So just as kind of setup, this is the world as I see it in terms of what you're doing from a marketing perspective in the B2B space. You'd be surprised, like a lot of people forget that these things are two separate things, to plan and measure in terms of what you're actually doing. To very, very simply put it, you kind of think about something, create what you're going to do, you go out there and do it, and then you want to measure and see what happened. And that's this awesome cycle that hopefully just keeps going and going and going, and you keep raising your ARPUs and you keep raising your MRR, and all of a sudden everyone wants to be a part of your company. But these things actually get broken down a lot, and this is directly from what we as a company use in terms of how we market to our audiences. But I think Dominic made mention of the fact that you can actually use social as a way to gain a lot of insight about your audience and about what they're talking about who they are as people, things like that. And so when you're looking at the plan side of things, when we're talking about analytics, looking deep into conversations, figuring out what people are talking about, what sort of content they're engaging with on a daily basis, what competitors they're engaging with on a daily basis, all of a sudden you're able to get a better picture of that person so that when you move into this execution phase, you're able to create content that then drives interactions. So whether that's site visits, all the great stuff we're going to talk about in just a minute. But this is a very linear way of looking at that kind of cycle as well. And it sounds easy. You're like, all right, we're going to create a plan. We're going to go out there. We're going to do something. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be Oreo and drop some tweet during the Super Bowl or something like that. Actually, I'm really surprised no one quoted Marshawn Lynch up here already and said they were just here so they don't get fined. I think Andy said he was going to punch anyone that did it, so that's probably why it happened. But it's actually not really easy. So this is from a study that we did at Simply Measured in 2014, asking marketers, what's the hardest part about reporting and about analysis for you? And you actually see they have a lot of problems across the board. This isn't my favorite graph, by the way, and I'll share out my favorite one, which is in the longer presentation. The biggest thing is standardization across social networks. And that is a big problem for a lot of people. Is a like the same as a retweet, or is a link click on LinkedIn as valuable as a link click somewhere else for you? And that's something that a lot of people in our company spend a lot of time talking with our clients about and trying to really come to a consensus on. Also, accessing the necessary data. So I think we're in this world now where there's enough data out there that we all have heard the term big data too many times. It's lost its meaning to a lot of people. And so actually being able to access and make sense of that data is becoming more and more important. Not knowing what to measure, kind of scary that it's on something that we're sending out to a lot of people who are analysts and marketing analysts. But again, these are problems that the industry are facing across the board. So you're not alone if you're not really sure what you should be looking at. So really, since we don't have a ton of time today, I just wanted to focus on three things. Very, very simple. I'm aiming for the shins here with this group, and we can always go deeper in questions. I specifically made this very short so we can ask questions and do that sort of stuff at the end, especially with the whole group. I think it'd be really great. So the first thing is setting your goals. It's really great to go out there and create your next great marketing campaign. Whether that's content focused or whether that's ads or a combination of all those things. But if you don't have a baseline in mind, kind of thinking about what you're doing and why you're doing it, you're kind of, even if you succeed, you're going to fail because you're not really sure you succeeded. And I always talk a lot about business goals. Social, I think, a lot of the times has the tendency to get mired in the likes and comments and shares and retweets and reblogs and pins and all that great stuff that's out there. But at the end of the day, what matters is business goals, our business goals. And so I spend a lot of time talking about, are you trying to lead sales? Are you trying to drive website traffic? Are you trying to get people to sign up for your next webinar? Are you trying to get people to show up at your event? What are all the actions that then lead up to that? Not necessarily what are all those actions. And so I spend a lot of time talking about how engagement isn't a business goal. CEO of Intel, a lot of times, really isn't looking at how many likes they get. Engagement, as a whole, as part of a larger sort of trend, yeah, sure, but they're not really going to care how many likes they have. And the big thing here is using historical data to actually inform that measurement and inform where you're setting those baselines and goals. So look back. You have access to all this stuff. I'm not going to pitch our tool here, but like in going to your accounts on whatever you're on, you have the data there to see how you've been tracking historically and start building those baselines. The next thing is about standardization. So I talked a little bit about how engagement likes itself probably isn't something you're going to want to look at. But for the sake of sort of breaking it down very easily, I broke it into two categories: brand awareness, which is your brand campaigns, where I think Rand was talking about earlier. Great, our brand campaign is doing really awesome because look at all of our website traffic. It's going out the roof. There are a lot of things that are going into that that not only you don't see, but then you can actually kind of go back and find. He was talking about correlation. I think it's a great thing that we actually show as a tool, is you can actually see this stuff happening. But the fact that you can go back in and start building up these metrics underneath the sort of business goal area is something that we spend a lot of time looking at. So diving deeper into engagement, looking at reach, looking at impressions, bringing that together under your brand metrics. And then sales. So we are a SaaS company. We have an entire team of ADRs who literally eat the dog food at our company. They are out there talking to our prospects on social media. They're interacting with them on Twitter. They're interacting with them on LinkedIn. They're talking on their blogs. They're sharing content with them that we know they're going to like because we've done the background research. We know the stuff they're sharing. We know that some of them are Patriots fans, and we were kind of joking with them the other day about the game, right? Because that's what you can do when you start knowing your clients and knowing your customer better. But those people are responsible for driving those site visits, driving those leads, driving the stuff that goes into the top of our funnel. As a SaaS company, we literally have a funnel. Our VP of marketing was a funnel for Halloween. So for us, that's what we live and die by, is filling that top of that funnel. This is an example of going deeper into engagement. So all of these things we lump under that category of engagement. And so we're not necessarily worried about, is Facebook going to drive more? Is Twitter going to drive more? Is Pinterest going to drive more? But when you start looking at interactions, so finding things that are like across networks and being able to bucket them together. So likes, comments, replies, stuff like that. Amplifications are something that we treat entirely differently. So we actually see it's very important if someone is actually going to take the time to share a piece of your content. That, in our mind, is a little bit more social capital being passed along with that than a passive like. I like stuff on Facebook accidentally sometimes. It's that easy. He can scroll by it all. I have giant thumbs. I accidentally like it. So that's kind of where we look at things there. And the third part of this is all about understanding your audience for me. Analytics, since I'm a marketer, is something that I think about in terms of it's something I do to do my job better. It's also something that I use to tell the rest of the company how we're doing. And so that's kind of the measurement side of analytics. And I'd like to break it down into three different audiences. Your company may be three different people, and this could encompass all of them, but different people have different views on what they need to see from analysis and measurement. So the executive view, that's that 30K foot view. It's the here's what's going on today, here's how we're trending, that sort of stuff. Analysts, do we have analysts in the house at all? Oh, sorry. See, I work with a ton of analysts. If I said that at my company, there would be 95% of the hands up in the air, except for me. But analysts want to see all the data. So that's something that you have to think about in terms of where are you collecting the data? Is the data actually clean? Are you getting stuff that is statistically relevant, as our sales leader likes to say? And then your social media marketer. So we're obviously talking about social analytics here, but that's the person that's going to want to know, like, what am I doing in my job every day that's making a difference? How do I do it better? How do I get better at interacting with all these different clients. Boom, and that's actually it.